Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing amazing today. In this video, we're diving into the latest updates about Ripa and Mark Consuelos. You don't want to miss this. So make sure to stay tuned till the end, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Ripa had spent a lifetime in front of cameras, but some moments were harder than others. Moments when the glossy studio lights did nothing to shield the emotions building beneath the surface. On the morning that everything changed, she sat in the makeup chair at the live studio, hands clasped together, trying to steady her breathing. Her heart wasn't pounding because of the day's guest lineup, scripts, or audience energy. It was because she knew what she was about to reveal to the world, something she and Mark Consuelos had kept private for longer than most could imagine. Mark, ever the professional, was in his dressing room reviewing cue cards. That calm, collected host persona was still there, but Kelly knew that underneath, the past few months had taken a toll. He had insisted nothing should change. He didn't want their viewers to worry or feel sorry for him. He wanted to keep the show upbeat, the way it always had been. But Kelly had reached a moment where she felt the truth needed to be spoken, not for sympathy, but because silence had become its own burden. The first signs, it had begun quietly, too quietly. At first, Kelly thought the fatigue Mark complained about was just exhaustion from the demanding schedule. Hosting a national morning show, traveling, juggling projects, filming, charity events, it made sense. Everyone in their world was exhausted sometimes. But fatigue turned into something more. Mark, usually a man of contagious energy and high spirits, began retreating. He stopped running in the early mornings, something he used to do religiously. His gym visits grew shorter, less intense. Kelly would wake up and find him sitting in the dim kitchen, hands wrapped around a coffee mug, staring into space like he was trying to steady himself before standing. She noticed the tremors next, small at first, a slight shake when he buttoned a cuff, a hesitation when he lifted a fork. She asked if he was okay, and Mark would smile his charming grin. "Just getting old, amor," he would joke, brushing it off. But Kelly knew it wasn't just that. She had been with him long enough to see the things he didn't want anyone else to. One night, she couldn't take the worry anymore. After the kids were in bed and the house was quiet, she sat beside him on the couch. "Mark," she said softly, "something's wrong." He didn't argue that time. He only looked at her with eyes that were equal parts honesty and fear. A diagnosis that changed everything. The doctors ran tests. Days stretched into weeks. Kelly tried to stay strong, but inside, she was unraveling. She had never been good at waiting. She liked answers, clarity, control. This, however, allowed none of that. When the results came in, she felt the world tilt. Mark had a neurological condition, something that would slowly affect motor control, strength, and balance. The doctor explained that it was manageable, often slow-moving, but unpredictable. Some days would be normal. Others would be harder. Mark listened silently. Kelly squeezed his hand and felt him squeeze back, solid, steady, protecting her even in his own moment of vulnerability. They left the hospital that day with a new reality trailing behind them. At home, Kelly felt the tears come only after she closed the bedroom door. Mark stepped up behind her, resting his hands, still steady, on her shoulders. "We're okay," he whispered. "We handle everything. We'll handle this too." The show must go on. Mark never wanted anyone to treat him differently. He insisted on coming to work, smiling, laughing, delivering every segment like nothing had changed. If anything, he worked harder, almost as if determination alone could keep the illness from progressing. Kelly admired him for that, but it also broke her heart. She noticed the strain in small moments. When they walked onto the stage together, he sometimes steadied himself with a breath first. When they cooked with chefs on the show, she subtly moved cutting boards and tools closer to him so he didn't have to reach as far. She became a guardian of small, almost invisible adjustments. Behind the scenes, only a handful of staff members knew, and they protected him fiercely. The teleprompter operators gave him extra pacing time. Camera operators adjusted angles. Producers avoided overly physical segments. Still, to the audience at home, nothing looked different. Only Kelly felt the weight of it every minute. A moment that changed everything. The moment that forced her hand happened on a Thursday morning taping. They were interviewing a musical guest, young, energetic, full of movement. During a playful demonstration, the guest unexpectedly suggested a dance step. Normally Mark would have jumped in, charming, and confident. But today he froze, not physically incapable, but uncertain that his body would cooperate. The audience waited, the silence stretched. Kelly saw the hesitation and immediately stepped in, laughing it off, doing the move herself, shielding him without making it obvious. The segment ended smoothly, the show continued, but Kelly knew something had changed. Later, she found Mark sitting in his dressing room, shoulders heavy, staring at the floor. "I can't let you keep covering for me," he said quietly. Kelly sat beside him and took his hand. "You don't have to hide," she whispered. "Not from me, not from anyone." He closed his eyes. "I just don't want to become a story," he said. "I don't want people looking at me differently." Kelly understood that fear too well. Their entire lives had been public, but vulnerability was something most celebrities never got to show without judgment. Still, she knew it was time. The decision to speak. That evening they sat at home, the city lights glowing outside their windows. Kelly made tea, Mark poured wine, and they talked, not as co-hosts, not as public figures, but as a wife and husband facing change. She told him she felt keeping the secret was hurting them more than helping. "You always taught our kids that strength isn't pretending, it's facing reality," she said softly. "Maybe now it's our turn to live that." Mark didn't respond immediately, but eventually he nodded. "If we tell them," he said, "I want you to say it. People listen to you differently." Kelly reached for his hand. "We'll do it together." The broadcast. The morning of the announcement, Kelly barely touched her breakfast. Mark was calm, almost too calm. The studio audience filed in, buzzing with the usual excitement. No one knew that today's show would be unlike any other. After the opening banter and news segments, Kelly set down her cards. She looked into the camera, and the entire room seemed to shift with her. "I want to share something personal today," she began. The audience grew still. Mark sat beside her, his expression supportive, trusting. Kelly explained, not graphically, not dramatically, but honestly. She spoke of the fatigue, the medical journey, the diagnosis. She spoke of Mark's strength, his professionalism, his refusal to let illness define him. She spoke of partnership, love, and the reality of facing life's unexpected chapters. As she talked, Mark took her hand, not for show, but because this was the most real moment they had ever lived on air. The audience reacted with a soft, collective exhale. Some people wiped their eyes. Others smiled with admiration. The emails and messages that came in during commercial break were overwhelming. Stories of viewers facing their own challenges, their own diagnoses, their own fears. When the show returned, Mark finally spoke. "I'm still me," he said, smiling. "I'm still here, and I'm still going to dance, just maybe a little slower." The audience laughed gently, but with warmth. After the reveal, in the days that followed, something shifted not just in the show, but in the world around them. Instead of whispers and speculation, there was support. Instead of fear, there was solidarity. Kelly realized something profound. Revealing Mark's private ailment hadn't weakened him, it had freed him. He no longer had to pretend. He no longer had to conceal tremors or fatigue or moments of struggle. The truth had made space for compassion. And as for Kelly, she felt an unexpected peace settle over her, the kind that comes when carrying a heavy secret is no longer necessary. A new chapter. Life moved forward, not the same as before, but strong in a different way. They adapted routines. They learned new ways to move, work, and rest. Mark continued hosting, still charismatic, still charming, still himself. Some days were harder, some were better, but together they faced them all. And Kelly realized something she wished she had understood earlier. Strength isn't the absence of vulnerability, it's the courage to live openly despite it. Their love story, their public journey, their on-screen chemistry, all of it now had a new texture. Deeper, more human, more real. And millions of people watching from home felt connected, not just to celebrities, but to fellow travelers in life's unpredictable journey. They were still Kelly and Mark. After the camera stopped rolling and the makeup came off and the last audience member left, they returned to their home, changed but still themselves. Kelly curled up beside Mark on the couch, resting her head on his shoulder. "We did it," she whispered. Mark kissed the top of her hair. "We're going to be okay." And in the warm quiet of that moment, they were. Because the truth was out. Because they had each other. Because love, real love, doesn't break when life gets difficult. It grows stronger. And so did they.